And it was all because of a choice that I made. So it's interesting, the choices, the decisions that we do make of what we think we don't have time for, what we think that we don't have space for, until we make the choice to make that change.
This is The Deep Dive with Adam Roa. I'd love to hear you speak to, how do you do that? For people who are listening to this, like, I'm the rock in my relationship, my family, for my kids, etc. How do you be that while still finding that time for yourself and self-love?
Oh, that was one of the most challenging times of my life, honestly. I don't want to say that I did it perfectly. I don't want to say that I did it with a whole lot of grace. I mean, I was in the experience figuring out how to show up with grace, how to show, it was like, in the moment, I was figuring all these things out. So just to set some context for all of you who are listening, my husband and I were living in black mold toxicity for many, 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 many months and didn't realize that we didn't know it. And so it really impacted us, both of us, in different ways. For my husband, it created anxiety and deep depression. And this was right after Jax was born, our son was born. So I was like, new mom, husband is depressed. We can't figure out why. We don't know what's going on. I have crazy brain fog because of the black mold. We just thought this was like, because we're new parents and we just retired. But we really got to kind of figure this out and eventually realized we were living in this level of toxicity. And so that whole transition and the journey leading up to that moment, we realized that, like, the source and the reason of it all, I was just holding space. I'm like, great, I get to be the CEO and the one in front and holding the space for our company, and also for my company as well. So just really managing a lot. And what I kept coming back to, honestly, were my vows. Through sickness and in health, like no matter what, unconditional love, and like really reminding myself of what that looks like. And it definitely wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy, but what I do want to say is it was absolutely worth it to remember to remind myself of, like, we all are going to have moments in our lives when you're in partnership with someone. We are never going to be the same person twice. Brad is not the same person I married. I'm not the same woman that he married. We're always growing, evolving, expanding, sometimes together, sometimes apart. And then we always find our center point. We always remind ourselves what our pillars are, what our shared values are. So we always come back to love.